our first holiday is around a silver dragonborn that was rolled as a raider or ravager. Someone who, as we would come to find out, rides down from the mountain to ravage the crops that are left in the fields. Now, being a silver dragonborn, he brings frost and cold with him. And of course, what kills any remaining crops but the first frost of winter? He's out, as the legends go, he's out for revenge. To avenge a past humiliation or insult. He wears distinctive jewelry, is an expert juggler of what or whom, often squints, is very rude. He does have an ideal of beauty. And what would be beautiful to someone like this who you could say, well, this is a bad guy. How can a bad guy think something is beautiful? They very much can. Are things beautiful when they're covered in frost and snow? Does he have a preference of things that glitter and shine? Maybe diamonds especially. Or anything else along those lines. He's very protective of a sentimental keepsake. That, bubonic, that was brought up. That was brought up. This keepsake means something to him. And his flaw is that he is arrogant. You could probably butter him up if he's getting ready to put a beating on you for leaving crops in the field, for people to die that could have used that food. Yeah, exactly, Big Sam. Well, this is kind of like a Jack Frost-style character, with the combination that there is a harvest festival that the village we created celebrates, with this character being like a headless horseman. It's someone that's famous, that's associated with the holiday, but isn't a good guy. And when we're talking harvest festivals, if we come back here, Halloween has origins in harvest festivals. Now, we can obviously say that in modern secularization, it's lost a lot of the harvest theme. But there are other kinds of harvest festivals that occur. And if any of you want to quickly reference examples, I'll put the link here in chat. Now we go back. Around this character, in the context of the settlement that we made, I'll move that off to the side to make it easier for me to click. We have dwarves that came from the mountain at some point in time, driven out even, with rumors of dragons. And dragons are either literal dragons, or maybe they meant flagons. Flagons of ale. For they were undermined. Their royalty, their clans were undermined by drink. And that could have taken the form of a dragon, or it could have just been a dragon. Even a green dragon that uses poison. And what is poison? Alcohol is poison. Absolument. Can we tie this holiday to the intact statue of a deity? Or intact circle of standing stones? Hi, 12 for 10. There's a permanent portal to another plane of existence. Somewhere in this settlement. It trades a particular type of wine, or different wines like hard cider, mead, or maybe they do grow grapes along this stream that comes down from the mountain. And it has eels in it too, apparently. That is the general idea, Baloo, yes. And so anything left in the fields after first frost would be considered to be cursed or touched by this spirit. And so that's the warning. Work hard. Get your harvests in before the frost corrupts it or touches it and freezes it and sets your fields to be fallow. And rep, all of this was made using random rolls and our imaginations. Big Sam, we are going to discover that right now. They may very well leave an offering, as we were talking about. They might leave things like pumpkin vines that are woven into the shape of a crown or jewelry, since this person likes it. Now, when creating a holiday, there are some things that we should determine in order to really help make it fun or unique. I'm not saying that we can't draw on Samhain. We can't draw on the Inori Soup Festival or Obone or Burning Man or anything else along those lines. We certainly can. Though I want us to make our own fun fall holiday going on. So the name, I'm not worried about the name just yet. So something like that could be the case, Reaper. Or Rep. Reppers the Third. We'll come back to this. What is a summary of the point of the holiday? If we had two sentences to summarize the point of the holiday. What is the point of Christmas? What is the point of New Year's Day? What is the point of Valentine's Day? What is the point of Independence Day? Or other holidays local to the country where you're from? What is the point of this holiday? To teach a moral lesson about hard work? To celebrate, or at least to caution everyone that winter is coming? How can we summarize what this holiday is in a sentence or two? To honor the ancestors and reap the bounty of their labors in the fields. Now, we do already have an ancestor worship or an ancestor recognition holiday. It's not that it can't be concurrent, but in particular for this this general harvest festival. We are going to cover honoring ancestors, but maybe not with this. Enjoying the plentiful bounty the town has been able to gather together, friends and families working together for the collective good. And so that would be symbolized by, if everyone works together for the common good, they can avoid maybe the repercussions of evil or the beatings that would come from a malevolent force. Frost and freezes are different. If we want it as a warning, it would probably be a frost, because a frost is indicating things are going to be getting colder. It could be a freeze. I mean, either's fine. Either's fine. I know up in Canada and out in Colorado and whatnot, they ended up getting snow, and it's October. It's October 11th. Well, it is now for me in my time zone. May we feast and fill the flagons afore the fields remains fall fallow. All right, jumping a little bit ahead, but I like that. So GNS here. May we feast and fill the flagons afore the fields. Whoop. Remains fall fallow. Well, but maybe the agriculture here does find it damaging because we're talking about wine country and bees, apples. So there's orchards, there's sensitive ground crops, and we have a reliance upon bees that won't like a frost either. All right, so as a harvest festival, this also has some overtones of like a Labor Day also. That we appreciate the work that goes into building a community and making sure that everyone is optimizing what they're doing for the community to be able to face down enemies and, well, and strife. Could it be some sort of praising to thank the spirit for showing them true hard work? It could be a begrudging respect, as this Reaper spirit, as it goes through, would deny them anything left out in the fields, and so it's a tough love lesson, you could say, I suppose. The bountiful harvest and an open trade fair with neighbors, says Big Sam. Gotta love alliterations. What would that saying mean, Rep? And we're also getting down there. Like, I want you to think of this stuff. Absolutely. So if we have a summary, so the point of the holiday, enjoying the plentiful bounty the town has been able to gather together, friends and families working together for the collective good, as a way to ward against evil. That is as manifested by our mascot for this holiday. Yes, so that could be a part of the drinking festival, Big Sam. Absolutely. All right, the primary traditions. Let's say that we summarize, New Year's Day in a sentence or two as the day in which we recognize a new year has begun, and primary traditions are libations, fireworks, party hats, and resolutions for the coming year. Those would be traditions. You know, it could be a lot of things along those lines. So how much they accomplish? So by evil, it's just, I guess, like an ever-present force that is waiting to strike and has an eventuality. And if the community doesn't work together, they will succumb to that. Yeah, it's a recognition that if you don't work hard, you will suffer or die due to the oncoming cold and deprivation. Celebrating surviving another year and remembering those who passed, unable to celebrate with us. Now, is that another summary of New Year, or do you is that a tradition? Is that a tradition that you're thinking for this? Because I'll tell you, Samhain and other holidays similar, they treat Halloween or October 31st slash November 1st as their New Year, because the year has come to a close. The life has stopped blossoming. We've had our decline, and now we have our death, and then our rebirth afterwards. There is also a similar Dia de los Muertos. So to keep the focus on the harvest or labor or this sort of communal, if we don't work together, then there's repercussions. So you all have great ideas, and we are absolutely going to get to them. But this particular holiday isn't necessarily about death, isn't necessarily about passing on or ancestors, especially because the living are the ones who reap the fields. The living are the ones who need the heat and shelter underneath a thatched roof cottage, trogdor. This is not Thanksgiving. Actually, Baloo, we have a Thanksgiving holiday. Ish. So what do we do? Primary traditions. Do we have a harvest parade? Do we? Does everyone line the road from the farmhouses to the market downtown with bales of hay? Do they set out scarecrows with, made with the things that they grow? Is a tradition to leave an apple or to leave a woven piece of jewelry out for this rider? If he's good at juggling, maybe you leave 3 apples out on a plate. Maybe you weave something out of your crops. You make a chrysanthemum crown or something. Or you've made something beautiful that you are setting out as an offering. Now, I'm not saying this character actually exists and eats the apples. This is the tradition, like jack-o'-lanterns, like even dressing up to fool spirits on the road. All right, no problem, Hypnotic. Families set out samples of their harvest. Okay. In this case, it might even be the bad harvest because they don't care if it gets frosted over, but they're still giving something. And it's showing, yes, even the bad stuff, we took our time to harvest, and we're now leaving it out as not a sacrifice per se, but as a showing. And that they're willing to part with it. Or some families might even leave their best stuff out to get frosted. I was thinking of a giant house that the entire village heads to celebrate. Well, so something like that, Rep, that would be maybe like a giant windmill, because they have to start processing the grains and squishing the apples and the grapes and all that. So that could very well be some kind of a gathering at the town windmill or barns. Except you do. Apples are dope. Stupid dudes, just leave them out for me thinking I'm scary. So D&D time is going to go through your village, everyone, and eat your apples that were left out in order to help ward off this silver dragonborn coming through and bonking people on the head for not working hard enough. Set out portions of good harvest as an offering. Yeah, a windmill or a marketplace. And this could also be, in part, a marketplace festival as well. And the worse your apple offering, or the worse is your coming harvest. Okay. So that would be family set out samples of their harvest to help encourage good future growth. Gathering at the town windmill or barns for a you know how Amish put up the barn as a community in a day. This could be gathering at the town windmill or barns, maybe for something like a dance. Right, there's a harvest dance. You dance around like the windmill does, or if you're trying to squash grapes, or if you prefer squash grapes, you could even have grape dances. You could have you could have activity that celebrates labor, that celebrates everything that's going on. Ah, you set the offerings in a stone structure. What if you sent out a pumpkin that could be offensive to the spirit? What if, Rep? I was thinking of it as a Thanksgiving type holiday. Feast, harvest, fall, parade. Just need some football. That is coming up, Baloo. Bear with me. Bear with me on that, Baloo. Hey, Phoenix. What if the last day of harvest is the day the best of the crops are put aside, and New Year's Day is the day the first brew is made, and the keg can't be tapped until next year's last harvest day, and okay, all right. Last year's, now this could end up being into the alcohol holiday, into the Oktoberfest. Let's save that one for that. So we gather at the town windmill for a dance and leave offerings by I don't know, like the old, like the first barn of the first settlers or whatever, or kind of as we have a quasi pilgrims and natives interaction, as we have the dwarves that fled the mountain and then came into contact with the native halflings here. I know this is bleeding a bit into Thanksgiving, but this is where we can have a ton of fun. So gathering at the town windmill for a dance and leave offerings by the old stone foundation of the first barn that was raised by dwarves. And we'll call it a stone barn, because halflings didn't use stone all that often. Why not? Foundation of the first stone barn that was raised by dwarves. Well, all right, we'll get to that in a little bit, Rep, because that's a part of our Oktoberfest. All right, you got to get some sleep. Be well, D&D time. Thanks for joining us. Ah, the stone circle. Big Sam, you're onto something, right? Let's use what we have here. All right, so offerings by the old stone circle of the first silo that was raised by dwarves. So I think we could use the circle of stones is not only a good druidic symbol, but it could also be a silo, as what you were talking about, Baloo. All right, if you have any other ideas for primary traditions, we could have a couple here. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, think of Christmas. Primary traditions. If we're just sticking to religion, is you go to midnight mass, and you might read portions of the gospel. There's other subsequent traditions, such as putting up trees and wreaths, lighting up your house, wearing super gross Christmas sweaters. All of these are traditions that are a part of Christmas, but may not be primary, but are still things that we do. Are there going to be presents? Maybe. And we can cover that. Now, is there a taboo? There doesn't have to be, but during this time, what is something that may not be allowed? Something you wear, something you eat, something you say? Should you never mention the mountain during this time? Otherwise, you might provoke the spirit to come down early. What would be a taboo? What would be something culturally maybe we avoid during this harvest and labor time? Some sort of physical trial or rite of passage performed out in the frost or chill without protective clothing. All right, so Baloo, you say wear no jewelry? Might catch the creature's eye and ire. So we dress very simply. I know we're talking about get ye flask times in a medieval Western European setting, but even for that, dress simple, right? That's oh shoot, there's a song about that. What is it? 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be plain. Something da 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 da. Let's see. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be plain. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 na na na. Oh yeah. Not wearing red would be an excellent taboo. Why would we wear red then? Is it an Apple thing? No fire allowed anywhere near the silo? I mean, don't say it's dumb. Rep, if you have an idea behind it, explain it. Absolutely. Is it simple gifts? Simple gifts, okay. Yeah, it's a gift to be simple. It's a gift to be plain. When we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true something something something. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Oh, there we go. 'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. I'm not soapboxing, I'm singing. All right, Baloo. Yeah, it's an old Shaker song. So taboos could be things like, especially like jewelry. I think that was a very good idea. If we're trying to present ourselves as simple, humble, you know, back in even though we're in Get Ye Flask times, and even backer, giddier, flaskier times, jewelry, no jewelry, or fancy clothes, not wearing red is a taboo during this time. Let's see. Could we avoid swearing? I know sometimes it's nature to do that. If we want to have some kind of a denial, perhaps. Where would that come into the concept of labor or harvest or I guess working together in that case? Not burning a scarecrow or anything nature related, for the spirit loves nature. It's true beauty. So no burning scarecrows until they've been touched by the frost, as they've been evil. Heck, that could even be something as a part of a tradition. What if what if you make sure that your scarecrows stay out in the field to distract this rider or this reaper from coming through? To dispose of your scarecrows before the first frost. Give you a Yu-Gi-Oh type? Go with, oh, it looks like you already have Beast. No pretty ribbons in the hair for the girls. Yeah, so that could be like fancy clothes or decoration. Like working together sometimes with that, I believe, for a purpose. A lot of people swear. All right, so a taboo would also be to curse, right? Swearing are curse words, and you bring down a curse upon yourself if you do so. So a taboo is to swear. We can start doing something with no swearing relating to real life. I mean, I mostly practice that. For the week leading up and the week after the holiday, praying to whoever's required in at first and last light. Well, it'd probably be some sort of like a harvest god, I suppose, or goddess. Big Sam. Man, I'd be effed in the A during this time. Ah, I did it. Ah, I'm so weak. No harm. Well, if crows are around here, it could be something specific. Wear clean clothes to contrast the dirt after the work season. So is that like, no, you can't wear white after September? And so a taboo would be, or would that be a primary tradition to make sure that you, to wash your laundry? Well, now this is also, I guess, presuming then that harm comes to ravens anyway. Unless you're just saying that this is that it's more of a superstition. Welcome back, Victor. So how about this, as you're talking about things like ravens and whatnot? What would be a common symbol that we see during this festive time? You know, with Christmas or other, you know, you might see crosses, you might see presents, you might see Santa, you might see, so it could be a person, it could be, it could be, you know, an ear of corn, it could be, you know, a symbol of like, what, bees, apples, and grapes or something. Taboo to leave fires burning on the eve of the holiday, allowing frost to return in the night and spirit to pass not threatened by fire. Ah, so so he wouldn't feel threatened. So the night, so no fires the night of the frost. That could even just be the name of it, but I don't know, something sounds better than that. Corn bundles? An evil eye of some kind, hypnotic? Well, if we go back, we have a, we do have, these are the aspects of, so it'd be more like a Krampus, but we do have a personification of the holiday with this villain. A maple leaf being surrounded by a snowflake, there's a symbol. So common symbols could be a snowflake, a turning leaf, corn bundles, something that comes to mind might be if any of you have seen the United Auto Workers symbol, as their union symbol, is a circle, and it looks like it has I don't know, it's like a little sun. And you're like, oh, that's cute. It has like a bunch of little spokes on the outside of the wheel. Those are all people in a circle that are holding hands. And if we're talking about community, something like that could work too. In fact, if you look at other, if you look at a lot of other labor movements or unions, Teamsters have horses that are, you know, that are hitched up to a wagon, ready to work or pull. And of course, we're talking about harvest. You know, we could talk about things like farming implements, scythes or sickles. A blue campfire. Why a blue campfire, Rep? And I'm not trying to bait for an answer. Just let me know what's on your mind. Apple flowers safe from the spring, wrapped in a sheath of holly. Ah, so if we have this preservation tradition about last year's brew, this could be then an apple flower. Now, where does the holly come in on this bubonic one? I mean, that could even be like things like dried and pressed apple blossoms that are harvested in the springtime are then brought out during this time here. So to this society, it represents birth and death. Not necessarily bad. Um, Flowers birth, holly is death. Um, it could be a sign of winter. Would that be more appropriate for the Dia de los Muertos? Blue because of the ice, and the campfire because I don't know. Well, hey, come up with an idea, Rep. I like the no burning scarecrows, or like the scarecrows are a part of things. Holly only grows in winter. Perhaps even the windmill. The windmill or silo could be a part of the symbols and imagery. All right, now, not that we can't go and put more ideas down. I don't want to seem like I'm skipping things over, but I do want to get some initial ideas for all of our different topics. What about common colors? Now, if we say that a common color would be red, especially because we made not wearing something red to be a taboo, like on St. Patrick's Day in green. A circle of weaving leaves, sort of like the garland we saw, and in the middle a pile of straw. Yeah, so we can have corn or straw bundles, leaf garlands. And Victor, if you're feeling creative, this is the place to express that. So, Thanksgiving, I think a lot of us think of yellow, orange, and brown. Halloween, a lot of us think of orange and black or orange and purple. Um, for tailgating season, we tend to think of the colors of the teams that we're going to cheer for. Purple to represent wine. So that might be more of the red color. But we could do something like a red and yellow for white wine or mead. Mead has kind of it can have a yellowish tinge to it as well. Orange can represent, the leaves that are dying and falling hypnotic. Unless you have a different idea for what the colors represent to you. Brownish yellow, which is the color of apple cider. Okay, so we have things like an apple red. So it's not just red or a light red or a pink. We have like apple red. We have and yellow cider. Thought orange because a lot of the holidays resemble around orange. Well, what do you want orange to represent? I mean, we can draw on our experiences with other holidays, absolutely. But what would orange represent to you in this holiday, Hypnotic? An olive color? Well, I think any color can work. We need to describe why it works. Yellow for the corn and the grain, yeah. So yellow for cider and corn and mead and white wine. Red for the red wines and the apples. Now, if you wanted a strong contrast, I'm thinking it would probably represent the pumpkins on Halloween, for instance. They could very well grow pumpkins. We haven't said that they have or haven't. Light blue to represent ice. So red, yellow, and blue. So blue could be. Well, I don't want to put too many colors down. You know, most of us. I'll default to Christmas. Red and green. And some people are say like red, white, and green. Okay, I get that. And you could extend it. Well, white, gold, red, and green. Okay, I get it. It works. I see it all the time. Like, what are our core colors? The colors of your harvest. Ah. So you choose a primary. You choose a primary color of your harvest. Then what would be the central color? Would it be a dark blue? So would we have a red and a blue? Although if it's representing frost or ice, I would almost say white or a gray would be better than a blue. So it's your harvests. Let's do your harvests. Primary color plus everyone wears a splash of an earthy red or brown and a navy and grayish blue. Wears a splash of gray blue to represent. And navy blue could also be we're losing light, right? Every night grows longer and longer and longer. The darkness is creeping ever more. The cold is creeping ever more. And that could even be represented, you know, if it's a 2-week long observance, in the first whatever, how many days, you know, you wear one piece of blue and blah, blah, blah. And then by the end, everyone's wearing blue and gray. Make which color a taboo then, Big Sam? Now, what about common decorations? So if we have the symbols, if we have the symbols are not the decorations though. You know, the decoration would be a carved jack-o'-lantern. The decoration could be a leaf garland, which could be a symbol and it could also be a decoration as well. Well, we could have a wreath, though we're not talking about a Christmas-style holiday. A carved apple? Not a taboo to wear, but a taboo not to wear, the gray-blue. Ah, oh yeah, because the red would be a representation of the some of the vintners or the apple harvesters. A common decoration should be weaving corn stalks. So what they line their country road with them or something? Is that the decoration? It's not. It's kind of Halloween, but if it's Halloween, we're talking old school Halloween. This is a harvest festival, one that celebrates the harvest and labor and community. So common decorations then would be roadside bound corn stalks. The corn stalks to map the path for the spirit. Ah, okay. So maybe it doesn't take the main road through town or whatever. Yeah, or you take them through a field. You don't want them on the road, so you actually make a a corn path or something. A cornucopia, that absolutely can be a harvest festival symbol. To the offering circle, the old stone silo from the first settlers of dwarves in the countryside. Ending in a crop circle to confuse him so he can't find his way into the village. All right, so we're creating lore. We're creating this fun interaction. Right, so roadside bound corn stalks, cornucopia, and of course that circle also has all of the offerings. So, all right, so the spirit is guided out of town to the old stone circle of the silo, the originators. And there he's guided and sees that everyone has worked hard to harvest because all of their good crops are shown off. And so, he takes aggression out on the stragglers, which are the scarecrows in the field. And so actually that might be a good idea. Roadside bound corn stalks, cornucopia, the scarecrows. Scarecrows are fashioned by each family as an effigy to Frost instead of flame. Although maybe they're lit up in flame afterwards. And of course, that's a way if you have like old bedding you want to throw out or old clothes that can't be mended. There's a practical purpose because a lot of holiday stuff has a practical purpose too. And so you take all your old stuff from last year or whatever, you throw it on the scarecrow. You're gonna burn it anyway, but it distracts the spirit from bonking you on the head. Strung up apple leaves. Then I guess in this case we're gonna say that the leaf garlands are a decoration, but they're not a symbol. As per, like a cross, a present, a silhouette of a Christmas tree, or something along those lines. Well, all right, so if you say straw hats, do people just leave them out as decoration? Otherwise, that might come down to the primary tradition. Everyone wears their harvest hat or something along those lines. Leave them some kind of candy or what have you along the route to help entice them. Yes. All right, what are some common foods? Now, I know it shares a little bit of Thanksgiving, and there's nothing wrong with something along those lines. What would be a common food? Are we keeping things simple? Is this like an unleavened bread and bitter herb food to eat? Are we talking about are the common foods going to be primarily some sort of a root crop? Is there a pumpkin cookie? Everyone loves pumpkin spice, and maybe they actually have cinnamon bark that they can scrape and pumpkins. What would be a couple common food? And of course that extend to drinks as well. Maybe they have a special tea, or the well water is blessed. Like there's nothing infused in the water except the hopes and dreams and prayers of the town. Apple or pumpkin pastries, pumpkin cookies. All right, so we have we'll call them. How about this? Honeyed harvest pies. And the pies contain, of course, the crust is made from the grains that are harvested, and the filler is pumpkin or apple or something else. And then, of course, it's drizzled with honey because bees are important as well. I can imagine that they do, Rep. We haven't discussed it necessarily, although I know Sheeps would prefer if you don't eat sheep, even if they do keep some. So honeyed harvest pies. There's one on Donjon, DONJON.com. There's a couple other that are out there, Victor. And you know what? As a part of the harvest as well, they may actually, you know, there could be a meat. You know, does everyone have a gyro? You know, if they're harvesting, crops, that could also be animals as well. You know, so they have a special dwarven / halfling gyro that they make with, and so they actually have unleavened bread, and then they throw it in with some veggies and a meat of some kind. Yes, Big Sam, I have that up in the decorations. Actually, if we want to have this as kind of a cornucopia, instead of a gyro, it's kind of the same. How about they have a pita? Yeah, exactly, Big Sam. Because yeah, that plays into the Reaper Ravager part of this villain. No. They would stuff the pita. They would stuff the pita with meats and cheeses and other parts of the harvest and the bounty. So this would be a cornucopia pita. A cornucopita. I'm smirt. A cornucopita. Honeyed apple cider candies, not made from apples themselves, just cider with cornstarch. Hey, well, if there's grain, they have cornstarch. I'm not familiar with that, Hypnotic. Now, if we're talking dolmades, though I don't think this is really rice country for them. All right. Spinach pies. If they grow spinach, maybe there's sandy soil enough for it. All right, we have Gonads and Strife ended up submitting. May we feast and fill the flagons afore the fields remains fall. The fields remains fall fallow. Or wait, was that you, Gonads, or was that Baloo's? I want 2 more sayings or greetings during this time. Do they say Merry Christmas or Happy Christmas? An equivalent? Happy New Year? Happy birthday? Is it just Happy Harvest? That could be. It could absolutely be a simple saying. What would be something that the people here would say to each other, whether they're arriving or leaving or saying hi or bye, or if they can't cuss, what do they say instead? That could be a saying or greeting. Health and bounty. Or health and plenty. Safe Frostfall. Chilly days to you. So you want to now. So that would almost be like telling an actor break a leg. You don't want them to break a leg. But if you wish them chilly days, then that would almost be invoking this thing. Just a simple nice to meet you, and you go for the mwah, mwah. Warm hearth and plenty to you? Oh. Warm hearth and plenty to you. Winter is coming. That's a good... I like that. I'm going to trademark that. Warm hearth and plenty to you. And maybe when you say warm hearth and plenty, you know, warm hearth, mwah, plenty, mwah, and you give that. There's a name for that like polite, friendly kiss on the cheeks. I forget what the name of that is. Warm hearth and plenty to you. Said with those cheek kissing things people do. Yeah, winter's coming now, and then pff, a foot of snow. Hearth fire's hot. So do you say that instead of, is that an oath? Is that, hearth fires! Oh, stepped in a hearth fire's cow pad. Oh. But I did see something like, Safe Frostfall. That's nice and simple. Is that something you say after someone sneezes? Because they have a cold? Call and response kind of thing. Warm hearth, and the other person responds. And plenty to you. Warm hearth slash or ellipses and plenty to you. Bless those nostrils, my friend. Fair Labisse? Is that the name of the mwah, mwah. You're beautiful, darling. Mwah, mwah. Maybe say differently to strangers than you would family or neighbors. Oh, and I'm sure there's all sorts of variants. All right, everyone. What are 2 song titles? We don't have to come up with the lyrics. What are the song titles? What is something that people are going to sing while they harvest? That they're going to sing while they're making decorations? What's something that the kids sing? Eskimo kisses are nose to nose. Well, I mean, imagine they wish each other a happy birthday. Daily saying apple bottom jeans. Well, no. Apple Bottom is the name of the valley they live in because it's very bountiful. There's a river that comes out of the mountain, and there's an apple orchard, and so they live in Apple Bottom Valley. Maybe they do, actually. We could have just come up with that. A Good Harvest to All would be a decent song name. What would be another kind? Is there a precautionary? Is there a spooky one? Like, don't let the frost get you or something? Cornstalk's Guidance? Is Cornstalk's Guidance? All right, so A Good Harvest to All. Is this something like Songwin Harvesting? And would something like now, is it just corn? Because they raise a lot of other stuff. Of course, maybe it's the people who grow the corn. It's their job to make sure there's enough corn to lead the spirit away. A cautionary song, Frostbites, Long Nights. So maybe the concept of the corn stalks can be put... not that, again, we're not limiting them to only 2 songs, but what are 2 that might show a little diversity here? So if we could do something like the corn stalks might go into the harvest. Frost Bites, Long Nights. Cautionary song. Alfalfa is one of North America's most common hay crops, on top of how much we eat, obviously. I did not know that 12-sided guy, and welcome to you. All right, common clothing. This could, the clothing. We talked a little bit about things like in the taboo, but is this where everyone wears a common harvest hat when they go out or something? Is this where the straw hat comes in? Is common clothing, again, Christmas you get ugly sweaters or people wearing Santa hats, things like that. Do we have one or two pieces of common clothing that people wear here? Would it be a straw hat? Or even just a decorated, maybe people decorate their straw hats. We have fruitcake for the reason why, because we're supposed to fast, but it's technically bread because you can only eat bread, but if you put fruit and nuts and everything in it, then hey, it still counts and you can get nutrients besides just bread during your fasting. So in this case, if we're supposed to wear straw hats, but maybe people decorate their hats for the harvest season in some way. Men wear a jacket of the color of their harvest, and women wear a bonnet of the same color. Well, depending on how cold it's getting, a plowing, or if not plowing, reaping in a jacket might be a little bit over. Like that might cause an overheat. A bonnet, if the society, it doesn't have to be. It does not have to be. But if the women folk are behind doing the cooking and they wear the bonnets, that tends to be kind of fun and decorative. But the men wearing jackets while laboring might be a little bit warm. Oh, you think that the scare? Oh, so they make a decorated. All right. Okay. So yeah. Well, of course, because the family wants to distract. Wants to have kind of a Passover. We're invoking other holidays here. Victor, you might have, I don't know, something, you triggered a bot, I guess. A harvest uniform of loose-fitting sod brown with a wide-brimmed cornstalk hat. All right, so we have a straw hat, and then everyone who's harvesting wears, like, the town color or the town uniform. Similar to how Amish wear pretty much all the same thing. Small bundles of sewn or pinned to a hat or sleeve of something. Ah, yes. All right. What do we smell, everyone? Apples? Again, if you think of Christmas, what do you smell? If you think of autumn in general, what do you smell? I mean, go to your local candle aisle, wherever you go. Do we smell pies baking in windows? Clove? Clove is a harvest as well. And it could be a common spice. And so whenever people think of this holiday, they immediately think of clove. They could, bubonic, perhaps. Rep says honey, so something sweet. I smell the day on a cold winter night. I don't know how you would, how would you encapsulate that? Honestly, something like this with all the wood smoke. Wood smoke could be that. I was gonna say even, freshly threshed hay. In other words, the cut lawn smell. Yeah, the smell of hay and harvest. Yeah, it's sage. Yeah. So we'll do clove, sage, and freshly threshed hay. Hey, Accidental, welcome. All right, now, this is something that we don't necessarily have to do, but this would be a secondary story. I put this on, if we're just making one holiday, but this would be sort of like the story of Christmas. And I invoke that because it's probably, even if you don't celebrate, it's just so ingrained into our culture that even if you're not Christian or you don't celebrate, Christmas is the birth of Christ. That is the main story to the holiday. However, we have a Christmas carol, a Christmas story. We have all these other sub-stories that happen to people like us, and not philosophical religious figures or grand historical figures. We have secondary stories. So it would be like the Ichabod Crane is a secondary story to the Hessian, the headless Hessian of Sleepy Hollow. Because the Hessian is the original story. Ichabod Crane is one of us who just happens to be in this haunted wood. You see what I mean by secondary story? Now, we don't need to talk about that because to keep things moving along, I do want to get to another holiday before I take a break. The hats are made the first day of harvest and worn to show the spirit they are hard at work reaping the fields. I like that as a suggestion, Phoenix. Scarecrow wears the beautiful straw hats to distract the spirit. Yeah, and to show that there's family unity and all of this. All right. Now, if I saw people mention Frostfall, do you want that to be the name of this holiday, or do you want to call it something else? But we can give this holiday a name now that we've talked about it. We've incorporated our setting into it. We've incorporated the mascot into it as well.